Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to take a look at Grumbacher Academy watercolors. They have been requested quite a bit for me to review, so I thought today would be a great day to do it. So what I have here is an assortment of Grumbacher paints, and this swatch is dried for quite a while. I swatched this out like probably a week or two ago, and I thought I would just put a little glaze of color on each of these. What I did was just a little swatch out of each of these colors, and I used two paints and I let them dry in my pans here. And what I like to do now is when I'm testing a paint is I like to see what a glaze looks like on top. And what I'm enjoying right here is that it's not lifting the color underneath. And I have found with a lot of student paints I can get a couple, like one glaze on top. Usually, sometimes more than that, it wants to lift what's underneath. But I just wanted to make sure we could get that definite one glaze on top, and it seems as though we can. So I had picked up most of these paints when I was shopping. There was this little craft store in Bangor called Craft World, and they were changing over their supplies or maybe going out of business. I don't remember, but anyways, I got a bunch of these paints on sale for probably $1 or $2 a tube, and I really enjoyed them. And some of the colors, like I don't like chrome oxide green in any brand, and because it's such a flat and opaque color, but other than that I found them to be mostly transparent. A lot of the colors I have here are multiple pigment colors. However, you can go on their website. I don't know if it's if you just search Grumbacher or Chart Pack, you'll be able to find the Grumbacher Academy page, and then you can click on every swatch and see what the pigments are made out of. So if you're choosing your colors, like you'll probably want an ultramarine blue, that's PB29. That's going to be the same color as the artist's ultramarine blue, and this, similar things with different colors. So that way you can kind of research before you choose them. I didn't know about pigments back when I bought these, but I still found these to be extremely vibrant, lovely colors. So I thought we're going to compare those swatches with some other very comparable brands in a minute, but first I thought we'd just do a very quick little painting. And what I want to do is just kind of test how well they flow. So I want to paint a rose, and what I'm going to do is actually just get some really, really watery pink paint here. I would just do this with water, but I want you to see where I'm painting. If I just do it with water, you're not going to be able to see it. And what I want to do is just kind of, if I had let this dry, like the amount of paint that I have here, it would honestly just almost fade to nothing. So I just have enough like pink in here just so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to be doing kind of like a vintage rose. And I'm going to let the colors kind of flow. Not going to win any awards, it's just for fun. Okay? Alright, so now that I've got the water laid down, I'm going to go in and grab some of this. Ooh, that's a carmine. Look how pretty that flows. Now this flows better than the Van Gogh paints that I had reviewed a little while back for student grade. And I think it might flow a little bit better than the Cotmans. But any of those three I think would be excellent brands to start off with. I think I'll do a little bit of yellow. We'll see how the yellow flows. Let's try this Cad Yellow Deep Hue. That flows alright. Not quite as good as the carmine, but not bad. I'm going to blend a few of those colors together. I just wanted to just look at the flow on that, because that's kind of an important thing. A lot of times student paints will just kind of sit there on the paper. Let's do a leaf, and we'll just do that in some green. Let's take some sap green. Yep, that flows really nice. Let's grab a little turquoise. Oh, I'm surprised the turquoise doesn't flow better than it does. That's a mixture of PB15 and PG7. Those are both phthalocyanine. They're both phthalo colors. And I grab a little yellow in there. But they mix really well. I'm not getting mud, which is important, especially if you're looking at student grade colors that already have multiple pigments in them. You can see that those mixed very cleanly. And I think it's pretty good. They mix well, they flow well, they seem to be very transparent. I've got some just construction paper here. Let's take a couple of colors that are typically bad actors because they're opaque. Let's see what they look like. Yep, see that yellow is not even really showing up on my black construction paper that well. That one's a little bit more. Let's try some of the reds. Reds tend to be opaque. We'll see. Oh, Indian red. That's that's always an opaque color. It's not that bad actually. Could be low pigment strength, but I'm not seeing a chalkiness either there, so that's good. That red appears to be quite opaque, but then as it's absorbing, because this is construction paper, it's not a heavily sized paper, it is fairly transparent. So transparency is great, flow is great, color's great, mixability's great. I honestly might actually give these an edge over the Cotmans and the Van Gogh because of those three things. I don't find the others to be to mix quite as well. Let's just do a quick little color mixing here though, because I feel like I want to do that. Let me find some paper. Let me work on the back of this. Work on the back of this feather from reviews long ago. We'll do a little mixing here. That'll show us really the true test of the color. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna make like a little color wheel. I'm gonna take a warm and cool of each color. So let me we'll do the cool yellow, and near that I will put a cool green, a cool blue rather. Okay, we'll mix them in the middle. They make a nice green. We'll do the ultramarine blue. I actually had to go and my niece Sarah picked that up for me. She was in Portland and they stocked this at an art store there. So this is our ultramarine blue. And we'll grab some of that carmine, which you probably want like a Quin Rose. I don't think the carmine is that strong of a color, but you get a lovely purple there. Mixes real clean, especially for not a real strong red. Now we'll do our, I think I like the geranium lake better than the scarlet lake, so we'll do that for our warm red. Get a little bit more in there. And then we will do our warm yellow, which is the cad yellow hue. Oh yeah, makes a beautiful orange. So the mixing on these are fantastic. Even though they're not single pigment, they're still just gorgeously transparent and they mix great. Honestly, now that I've had a chance to review the Cotman and the Van Gogh, and I've swatched all my Aquafine, and that's as far as I got. I have to say that I would recommend Grumbacher Academy for student grade choice. Any of them are going to be fine. If you're like the Van Gogh, the Cotman, the Grumbacher Academy are going to be fine. However, if you have to pick one, considering they're all very similar in price, I would go the Grumbacher Academy. This is really fantastic for student grade paint. I'm really impressed. I really am impressed. The ultramarine is a brand new tube that I just got like a week and a half ago. The other ones I've had in my stash and I can't believe they've been in my stash this long and I haven't even really been playing with them because they're fantastic paints. But let's compare them to the other lines that I have in student grade. I've got the Van Gogh watercolors. Very comparable to these. Colors are bold. Cotman, this is a full line of the Cotman student grade, which I love Cotman because they're so easy to find. They're, but you're looking at, these are about the exact same price. I think the tubes, 7 milliliter tubes of both of these lines retail for $5. And I think Grumbacher Academy has an edge. I really do. Now that I've mixed some colors and I really think that these are the way to go. Now, you might not be able to get these everywhere. They're pretty easy to get in the United States. If you can't get these, absolutely, the Van Gogh and the Cotmans are fine. I'll show you the Aquafine, although I am not that impressed with the Aquafine. I do not recommend them, but these are old tube paints. I don't have the new pans. The pans might be better. They may have reformulated, but there's just a comparison there. But I like that the color is smooth, but colors like ultramarine do have a little bit of granulation, and the Indian red has a bit of granulation. We can mix those two together too, just to see real quick. Let's mix it on the palette here. Ultramarine, and then we can swatch it out. I didn't get much of the ultramarine. I have this like pan because I ran out of wells, and that pan is just kind of floating around my palette at the moment. I gotta have I gotta think of a new situation. I gotta like tape it down or something. A light red is very close to burnt sienna, which is a gray I usually make with ultramarine blue, but I just wanted to kind of get that in there. Yeah, it makes a lovely gray. I'm just curious to see if it granulates, but I won't be able to tell that until it dries. But it does make a nice gray. I think these are the way to go as far as student grade paints. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I recommend them. But by no means don't throw away your Cotmans or your Van Gogh. It's just if you're choosing between them, I think I would go with these. So I don't want to make anybody upset with me. But that's my honest opinion, and I was not paid for this. I don't take money for reviews. I don't know if you guys realize that or not. Sponsored videos I declare when they're sponsored, and I don't do sponsored reviews just in case I don't like the product. I don't want to feel beholden to anybody. And there you have it. Please let me know if you found this review helpful, or if you have a student grade of paint that you absolutely love, like the Sonnets from Russia. Those paints perform very well too. But these three brands are very easy to find throughout the world, open stock, individually. You can pick exactly what you want for your palette, which is really nice. I think I might pause the video though, let that dry, and then come back so you can see that before I sign off. So if you're interested, just stick around for a minute. And another thing I love is that there's very little shift from wet to dry with these paints. So they do perform a little bit better, a little bit more like an artist quality paint, which is something I also like. But I did use my heat tool to dry this, so that does limit your granulation when you do speed up drying with a hairdryer or a heat tool, but you can still see the beautiful mottled texture with a light red and the or it might be called English red. They call it Indian red. Indian red, English red, and light red and Venetian red are all very similar colors. They could just be trade names too between different brands. And then you could see the granulation with the ultramarine blue here when it was mixed to the violet. But I love that there's very little color shift from wet to dry, so when you're painting you don't have to guess so much about how much is this going to fade while it's drying. It's minimal, and you don't have that chalky residue that a lot of student grade paints have. I'm impressed. I'm happy to be impressed to say yes, this cheap paint is worth getting, and I really think it is. So if you have any questions about this or any of the other brands that I mentioned, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you have any advice to offer other beginners that may be investigating what paints to start off with, feel free to chime in. I get so many wonderful tips and tricks from you guys, and it's wonderful. And I love it when I don't love it when I'm late responding to comments. I hate that, but sometimes life gets in the way, and it'll be the next day and I'll be checking out the comments, and I love to see people have chimed in and helped one another in the community. It's so wonderful, and I feel like this is a community in the comments. When I read through, I feel like we're all friends. You get to know everybody after, you start to recognize people's avatars, and you look forward to hearing from people, and it's nice. It's really nice. I appreciate you all for making this such a wonderful community here on YouTube, and especially when I go to, I watch a news story on YouTube or something and I read the comment and it's just venomous. I am so thankful to have such a wonderful community here of painters and crafters. It's really good, and this would be a really great set for a crafter too, because it's not crazy expensive if you're just getting watercolors to use for once in a while and you don't want to invest $100 in a professional set. You just want some paints that are going to do the job. They're not going to fade. The light fastness on these are pretty good. They're certainly going to outlast me. And that's all I really care about. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this video is, I'm rambling. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.